Mother.
All right, welcome to another episode of Hops and Handshakes. This is episode number 21 with Dr. Jeff Gorbach, and we are here at Perrin Brewing here in the Comstock Park. I was going to say the north side of Grand Rapids, but it's definitely Comstock Park. Okay, gotcha. Well, Dr. Jeff, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
First of all, can you tell us what you're drinking?
I went with the Amber Ale. It's a nice,
Did you? Okay, you can grab that.
smooth Tier 3 here, they're calling it. No, Tier 2.
Tier 2.
Whatever that means. But having the red hair, figured Amber Ale goes well.
That's extremely fitting.
Keep with the brand.
For the ginger such as yourself. I appreciate. Yeah, very cool.
But it's good.
And I went a little bit more traditional in the Perrin Gold, which is yummy as well. But sorry,
Appreciate you having me
Hey,
here.
absolutely. Welcome for coming. I know I'm getting used to it. These have better sound quality, especially when it's noisy like this. But it's so, I'm like a handsy talker, and like I have to put my hands right here. So, yeah, man. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So, the reason we wanted to sit down with you is we make sure we try to highlight in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the surrounding areas, whoever's looking to do something impactful, right? Because it's not easy, right? It's challenging to where even when you learn something in your profession, you learn a craft, there is still this other side of setting up something that allows you to apply your craft, which sometimes can be even harder, to be honest with you. Like, you understand. So you are a doctor of chiropractic,
correct?
Right? Yep. And that took a tremendous amount of knowledge to understand that. And then the next step is like, okay, I want to perform my art on people. And Alex and I, who's behind the camera again, Alex will wave. That's his hand. Very, very great hands on the kid. Great hands. But it's like, how do you make all the other stuff work so you can perform your art that is in your heart that you want to do, right?
Right.
So anyway, we'll dive into that second. But why don't you kind of just shine a little light on who Jeff is for us?
Sure. Good old Midwestern boy. Yeah, I'm just like, as I don't want to talk myself up, but like, I just met you. You probably get a feeling that I'm pretty laid back.
Yes, you are.
Very caring.
Yes.
Like, almost to a fault sometimes.
Okay.
Like, that's maybe one of the things that, like, I care way too much. And then that gets, me worrying a lot more than I should in certain things. And that's part of being a business owner. There's a lot of stress and a lot of worry that goes along with that.
Sure.
Not just taking care of your patients and worrying about their well-being, but the whole other business side of things. So, that's something that I work on, regularly. But, roundabout way to answer your question, I'm just, good old-fashioned caring person that wants to really help people. And I like to do it in a comfortable, laid-back way, but at the same time professional. And, that's why I chose chiropractic.
Absolutely. Okay, so when did you know, when did you choose chiropractic? Where were you?
Funny story.
Yeah.
So, friend of my family was a chiropractor, and it was about 8th grade that we had to pick and write a research paper on a profession.
Okay.
And
what high school are we at?
Mona Shores High School.
Okay.
So over in Norton Shores, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I know a few
Muskegon
people out there.
area. So, went ahead and chose chiropractic, and it's like I said, 8th grade, wrote the paper, followed him around, shadowed him around, and then when it came time to graduate, high school, going into college, I always knew I wanted to do something with people, with the sciences. That always, resonated with me. And then it all kind of came full circle back to chiropractic at that point.
Nice.
And
nice.
So it's kind of one of those things.
8th grade.
Yeah. So it's one of those things like, who writes a paper on chiropractic? Who knows even how to spell it,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, like, it kind of chose me. And it was, looking back on it, a great thing.
So 8th grade. I didn't even know what the hell chiropractic was in 8th grade, to be honest with you. Like, how did you know?
The paper was called The Spine Specialist. That was my title. I think I got an A on that paper.
How did you know that? Like, where did you get that knowledge?
Again, friend of the family was a chiropractor, and like right around the time we were going to write the paper, we saw him at an ice cream shop, and like I'm like, let's do that. Isn't that random? Isn't that random how it works?
So
and I remember
like,
that it was an ice cream shop. That's wild.
But what did it make you? What did what did you? Do you remember the feelings? Or
I
the
used to go,
you had for them, or like this. The simple preliminary stuff that happened for you to even select that?
We used to go on family trips in a conversion van with a small TV VCR.
Yeah,
we'd go down to Florida.
GMC?
It was a Chevy.
It was a Chevy?
Biarritz.
Okay. Got it. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
We'd watch the Rocky movies all the time.
Did it have the 2 doors on the back that swing up that little ladder?
It did. It
Did
had
you
it
have a
all.
ladder on the
It
back?
had it all.
I did. We had that too.
Exactly.
It was awesome. Yeah.
I used to go, and this was 8th, 9th, 10th grade after I wrote that paper, I used to go and I'd be looking around and looking for different chiropractic offices. It was always something that I was excited about for whatever reason. I'm very, very OCD organized, and I was I think at that time just carving my path out, and it felt right and it felt good. And when I did that paper and wrote about chiropractic, everything about it made sense to me. When I followed the doctor around, it felt like something that I could see myself doing even at that age, as young as I was. And, that was that. So
that's pretty cool.
That's why I say it kind of chose me almost.
So you go on to graduate high school. Obviously, if you got a doctor in chiropractic, that's probably
that's a prereq.
Yeah, I figure that's it. And then you go on to college, which is where?
Well, I went to Muskegon Community College for 2 years.
Okay, very
got
cool.
Got my associates. Everything transferred then over to Grand Valley State in Allendale.
And then what was your undergrad there?
That was in health science.
Okay.
Bachelor in health science.
Okay.
So it kind of sets you up to go here, there, elsewhere in the medical field or in the science field. And it was at that time that I was making that decision. And again, I walked in. I'll never forget. I walked into one of my classes, and I see this sign up that said, "First ever pre-chiropractic club at Grand Valley," and I'm like, there you go. I was making that decision on what I wanted to do. Saw that sign. It was almost
cool.
Yep. And so went to that meeting and then just kind of found Palmer College, which is where I ended up going to chiropractic school.
Right.
I found that and did a kind of a prospective student.
Sure.
Visit and trip to the campus, and I was blown away. It was this is what I'm going to do. And done. And then after I graduated, Grand Valley, that's when I ended up going over there.
It's a crazy scenario, and where you follow something and you just kind of see where it goes, right?
Yeah.
You had where it lies in. I have a couple stories on why I am the way I am, right, wrong, or indifferent. That are, it comes from a much younger age.
Yep.
Than people you deciding to go to Palmer at 22 or 23 years old was kind of already there.
Mm-hmm.
The underlying current was already there before you even got there. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's amazing how your thought process and your emotions and what you want to do is shaped even earlier than that.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta tell you a quick story. I'm gonna pause you.
Yeah.
My Palmer story. I've been there one time.
Gotcha.
So Dr. Gabe Ellis.
Yep.
Partner of mine in Mahalo Wellness.
Yep.
Complete goofball, and we want to
Class 101.
Yeah, we want to go grew up together, been friends forever, and he's I just went through Palmer. I had a great school, but gosh, Isaac, there's just not enough business talk. I understand how to do this. I understand everything around the science of chiropractic. I can help people. I can be extremely meaningful, but the whole business side, they try, but there's just nothing like being in the modern day environment of owning a business, right? So this was 5 years ago. Alex, did I ever tell you I did? Did I ever tell you? There's a bunch of shit I haven't told him. Whatever. So I'm hey. So Gabe and I get this idea. We're going to go put on a couple classes, couple quick seminars. We went to a couple different places around campus, and the last place we went to was this fraternity or whatever, some kind of gathering at a humongous house, and it was in the middle of February. We get done, we do our spiel, and then we're going to take them out to the bar, and because they're young college kids that are got
work hard, play hard.
And they have a ton of money in debt of going to the school. We'll go buy them a beer. Thanks for hanging out. Gabe can't even function when I talk about this story. I'd make the biggest Peter Pan slip down these steps and bang my head on the back of it, land on my back directly, and I've never had so much offering of chiropractic help in my entire life than 12 students conversing around me like, look, you probably need, I can help you out, whatever. I'm like, cool, like, and I think a few people helped me out a little bit, and then I'm like, why don't we just go get a beer, kind of thing.
Right.
But anyway, a great place for people to go to learn about chiropractic, but we find this a lot in schools across the country. In any kind of profession is that real life experience and what it's like if you want to go hang your own shingle, which is a time like that real life experience. So I want you to dive into that to where, okay, I understand the art. Yep. You care too much, which I completely understand that, right? Yep. But that's what makes you good.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to protect yourself as a human being to not make yourself too vulnerable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
But how do you channel that into a successful business is another learning curve that goes beyond college.
Yeah.
So talk to us about what's going on there.
You're right. They don't give us a whole lot of business there because there's so much that you have to learn to be able to adjust and to be able to take care clinically and hone those skills. And not only that, but learn, all the sciences to a T and learn how the body works and all those other things, how to heal.
Yes.
So then that's kind of somewhat pushed underneath the rug as far as how to go about starting your own business. So I was one of those that I graduated and I did 2-3 years as an associate.
Good for you.
And I'm not ashamed to say that. I worked with some amazing people and learned a lot of what to do, what not to do, so that I was more confident in my abilities and learning the business side of things. So I did that for a few years in the Chicagoland area, kind of near where Gabe's at.
Oh, were you
He's
really?
in Plainfield. I was in Naperville area.
Were you really?
Aurora area.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you guys know each other then?
Well, we knew each other in school because we graduated
so you guys
together.
were still in communication?
So,
okay, gotcha.
Yep. So did that, and then my college roommate, my best buddy, my Palmer roommate, who I randomly met, Dr. Larry Wallen, really, really good guy. Him and I teamed up and moved to Florida about 2-3 years after I was finished doing my associate.
Whereabouts?
Estero, Bonita Springs area, Fort Myers area.
Yep.
So the four of us are girlfriends who are now wives, and we moved down there with nothing, like building out a practice. Building out a practice, we knew where we wanted to go, but we started it from scratch. And so talk about a learning curve that if I had not been an associate and learned some of the business side of things, I don't know how that would have went. And that practice did really, really well. I was there for about 3 years.
Good.
But my wife and I are from West Michigan, and we thought, got married, wanted to have a family, and so that conversation came up to move back home. And so to start over,
came up.
So then, from me actually, one day I'm like, what do you think about moving back home? And by then she's a teacher. She'd built some networking with that, and some really good close friendships. So that was the hardest thing for us to do, was actually to move back home. It was a very difficult decision. Yeah. But looking back, now that we have a daughter, we just had a girl 8 weeks ago.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
It's worth every minute of it. And it was tough because you have to start over.
So your wife is happy now?
Oh, great. Yeah, she's great.
Good.
She's couldn't be happier.
Life easier. Yeah.
Couldn't be happier. So, again, at that point, we had been in Florida. We built up a practice there. It was 3.5 years. Things are going really well. That area is just exploding.
Yes, it is.
And so we had to make that decision to step aside from that, come back home, and start over again. And so with all the steps that I took, it allowed me to kind of handle that as best as I could. And so now I've been in Comstock Park at my office for about 3 years. A little over 3 years.
Okay.
And just continuing to try and serve the community and do things to make people I come in contact with better. That's all my goal is.
That's awesome. So, number one, I'm going to ask you a couple different questions here. Number one, what would you think is the biggest misunderstanding about chiropractic?
Oh, good question. I just think that a lot of people...
That's a good question.
It's a great question.
I'm going to take credit over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take credit right now.
I think a lot of people think that you go into a chiropractor to get your neck or your back cracked for pain. And while that is part of what happens, in a watered-down version, it's so much more than that. It's getting to the root cause of people's problems. And the majority of people can benefit from chiropractic care. And for some reason along the way, like from bad experiences a family member had or this and that, like sometimes it gets a bad rap at times.
110%.
And the other thing is chiropractic care is the most conservative, the most basic, and philosophically, I think the way that everybody should start their healthcare journey
110%.
is because you're using your body as a tool to heal itself. It's something from the inside out. It's something that's basic. It's something that's God-given, instead of taking something from the outside in. So a lot of people just assume that it's cracking your neck, cracking your back for this, that, and the other.
Would you agree with this? If you would like to create an environment for your body to get the maximum potential of the ability, I'm not saying this right, but I look at chiropractic as like, how do I get my body into a state to where it can heal itself the most it's able to do without anything else? Like, how do I try to heal myself without anything else? Like, how do I get my body to do what it's God-given been able to do, whatever you believe in? And that's why I look at chiropractic as like, how do I try to rectify it at home before I go outside? Right.
And that's what I pride myself on with my patients is someone comes in and I have a specific question on my intake form, like right on top. Have you had chiropractic care before? If they say no or yes, I pride myself and do my best on educating them on how I do things.
Sure.
And explain everything in detail what I'm seeing before I put my hands on them, before I start adjusting. So that they are educated and informed to make the best decision moving forward.
Absolutely.
Even if they've had chiropractic care before. We do digital x-rays in my office. We have standards and things set to be very, very specific. And then it's just, I'm not salesy and pushy. I let people see what I see and then let them make that decision. Short-term, long-term. Short-term to get out of pain, long-term for wellness and prevention and maintenance and correction. So most people, you see the light bulb go off when you're talking to them. And those ones are the ones that, you can't help but love to take care of. The other ones, sometimes you got to work on. You have to be able to almost be part psychologist, part chiropractor, because certain people need to be talked to and need to be worked with differently. So that's stuff that school doesn't. School doesn't teach you that either.
No.
Some of that's got to be in you.
No.
But that's what makes it so fun and different every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's you're dealing with people day in, day out.
By the way, sorry to interrupt.
No,
I'm happy things like this, I really appreciate you bringing me here because, like, it reignites, like, the passion that I had when I started. Because when you're in school, you are, like, just momentum on fire, just ready to go, ready to, save the world. It's not always realistic. You get into practice, you get going, and, like, life it brings you down at times, and it gets monotonous at times, and you have bad days, and it's, like, it's tough. So when you can get stuff like this where I get amped up and fired up to talk to you about it, I appreciate that.
Well, I thank you for saying that because a lot of what you do goes beyond what you're going to read in a textbook or even the interaction that you have with what you learn in the interaction you have with another human being. It's sometimes with what you're doing, and any of us do that are trying to do stuff, is sometimes you have to be your number one cheerleader. Right? So we've created a culture here to where, like, being an entrepreneur and building a business is, like, super cool and super sexy, but, like, people share it with the positive posts on Instagram and the positive moment. But what happens the other 23 and a half hours that suck ass, like, that are really bad, right? And so to that point, and then I'm also a pretty good person to talk to when it comes to this stuff because I believe in chiropractic. Because I've actually had surgeries and I've had taken things and put stuff in my body, like all this other stuff based on injuries that if I knew more, I really wish I wouldn't have had. And they've caused more problems than was originally prescribed. But because the option was, I don't know what's going on, let's just operate. So just stuff like that. So there's other things out there that go beyond what our modern healthcare will allow us to do. That kind of stuff.
And drugs, surgeries, over the counter and otherwise, like there's a time and place for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like full on never do those things. There are some amazing, brilliant doctors out there that save lives and do things that I could never do. But I really do feel like if the majority of people started their journey proactively through chiropractic care, that a lot of those things wouldn't have to happen. And you're a young dude, so that's kind of alarming that you've had surgeries and this and that already. So
it is
what it is.
It's okay.
I played sports my whole life, and I had as a 13, 14-year-old a developmental knee issue from a football injury, and I would just take ibuprofen before every game, and it was just something that I did and something that like I didn't think twice about. And I didn't really get into chiropractic like school and really learn the philosophy. I know I wrote the paper in 8th grade, but I didn't really understand all that till I got to school.
Sure.
And how those things should be last resorts. But like 80-90% of our population just thinks like you got a pain, take Tylenol, and it's just ingrained in our society somewhat. Well, so I was the same.
Yeah, it's there's other alternatives out there, and the reason why I'm a part of Mahalo Wellness is because due to some ailments, issues, surgeries that I never got recovered well, never got stuff recovering well. I was taking Vicodin every day.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
And then business partner sent out, Gabe, Mike, send me out some stuff, and I take it for a month, and I haven't had it since. Because not only is it reducing some of the pain, it's allowing my body to function, and I can do things with my body to alleviate the pressure from other areas that I was never able to do with a bunch of different PT. I can tell you a bunch of different PT.
Gotcha.
So it's a product on there's got to be something different than just cutting someone open and taking a whole bunch of stuff that's going to kill my liver.
Right.
But that's where we really consider the chiropractic group, and I do the wellness ambassadors. It's not an end all be all thing for chiropractors that can take care of every single thing.
Right.
But it is the place where you should start and be like, well, what can we do ourselves? What can we do organically? What can we do with a little bit of effort on the own side versus just swallowing a half a dozen pills and doing some different stuff like that fits really nice with our insurance policy.
With you're mentioning how Mahalo's been helping you with more chronic inflammation, aches and pains and things. That's the cool thing about it, is it's almost like a chameleon to the person's needs.
Yeah.
And it's me personally, when we moved from Florida, I talked about that, when I had to uproot and start all over again. I went through a period where I got into some subtle panic attacks and anxiety issues, and I would not wish that on anybody in this whole world. It was a very, very difficult time in my life, and I tried every natural supplement that you can think of. Some of them give you an upset stomach. Some of them just didn't even work. They're very expensive.
Yep.
So then I got to the point where I'm not afraid to say this, but I got on anxiety medication.
Sure.
I had to bridge the gap. I had to function. I had a family to help take care of, and a practice that was going.
Right?
Yeah. So it wasn't until I started taking CBD oil that within, I'm not kidding you, within 2-3 weeks, I started sleeping significantly better and starting to feel more like myself, to where I can get off these medications. And I was on them for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that is not meant to be long term. Right. But I was
but what do you do though?
It's tough. It's tough.
People saying, and I didn't tell very many people that I was doing this at the time. They're like, well, you shouldn't take that every day. I'm like, okay, well, how would you like me to sleep?
Right.
Is that
how do I function?
Yeah, how do I function? So, anyway, there's just, for this conversation, there's other things out there for people to learn that stuff. So, what
I say that just, I don't want to push all me, but if I can help 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people, and I've been implementing Mahalo into my office, and it's attracted a lot of the same type of things that I dealt with.
Sure.
And
sure.
those
Yep.
patients are doing phenomenal with it. So
that's fantastic.
It's not some snake oil placebo thing. It physically works, and it works fairly quickly.
And honestly, for a chiropractor, there's only so much you can do when people visit you for very infrequently.
Right.
It's all the other stuff they do to their body when you're not there.
Right.
So it's kind of like how do you ensure that there's enough wellness going on when you're not there, being able to adjust them, and that's what it's designed to do.
It's been a game changer as far as like I actually see some of my patients less now that they're taking CBD because they're doing what's best for their body away from me.
They're self-healing,
and it's something that like
that's fantastic.
It speaks for itself.
It's fantastic.
You just have to be there for them, and that's another cool thing about it being a chiropractic brand, Mahalo, meaning is that chiropractors care, like I was telling you. Mm-hmm. And so, like any patient that I have that is looking to start to implement CBD,
you guys are freaking emotional.
Give them my cell phone, and it's like, here, reach out to me if you need me. Like dosing and everything else that goes into it, because that's one of those things that's different with every person too. But for me, it's changed my world around for the positive, and so if I can just help a few people.
Very cool.
And make my life easier because they're doing better, why not? It's a win-win.
It's a very cool win-win to watch someone get improved, so that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you say that. So, next stage, what I always ask is, in your journey, there's other people out there going through, whether it's their chiropractic journey or some other journey that is challenging, that requires some unknown, that requires some skills and tools that maybe they feel like they should have, but maybe they don't feel like they do have right now. You know what I mean? Like there's always this unknown factor to that. Now, as you went through this, and I want to talk about you applied what you learned your first job out of chiropractic school. You went to Florida.
Yep.
You applied it. It worked.
Yep.
Okay. And now you're reapplying it, and it's working here.
Yep.
Talk to me about what you've learned in that process that I just can't possibly learn in a classroom.
One of my mentors told me something that like just puts kind of all in perspective and in a nutshell that I try to live my day-to-day by, and it's just that your intentions are everything. So if you have good intentions, no matter what you're doing, the rest of the stuff is going to follow.
Sure.
And a lot of the negative is going to just like work itself out of the picture. Because, you can...
That will suck you dry if you let it. The negative, especially if you care as much as you do.
Exactly.
There's sometimes I wish I didn't care as much as I do about the things that we're doing.
Yep.
Because I'd have more energy.
I know. And part of that is just ingrained in me, so I have to like really avidly work on letting a lot of things go.
Yeah.
But I guess to answer that question, that is one thing that I've always lived by, is that you have good intentions and you do the right thing for those that you come in contact with, and everything else is going to kind of work out.
Can I sum that up? And it's not a great summary, but it's your emotional intelligence that's going to help you be successful.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's okay, you got everything out here and you learned all this stuff, but at the end of the day, how well do you connect with that human being that's on your table? And how do you deliver an entire experience, not just you working on them, but the entire customer experience that makes them want to come back, right?
Right.
So there's something that we have subscribed to with the marketing company and a few other things we're doing. And I talked to the guy a few different times, and I'm going to tout him again. I think he's fantastic. His name is Joey Coleman, and his book is called Never Lose a Customer Again.
Yep.
And what he talks about is customer service is reactionary, like it's a reaction. Customer experience is proactive.
Gotcha.
Right? So he talks about customer service. Most companies understand that. I got to service the customer, whatever. But customer experience is like from as soon as you learn who I am to you doing business with me 10 years, like I got to figure out what that's going to be like. Like I got to really like walk them through the path that I want them to figure out, because that's what makes it or break it. I mean, it's all buying is emotional, especially with health.
And another thing too is like you have to at least put in the time and the work to do what you're telling your patients to themselves do.
Yes.
That is a no-brainer, obviously.
Yes.
But like,
So
I sometimes like
hypocritical is a bad strategy.
Yeah, yeah. I'll sometimes drive home and like I'll, certain ups and downs, and you hit those ruts at times, and you're like, well, you have all these people that like care about you like family. My office I pride it that it's like a family atmosphere.
Sure.
So people that come in there, my one goal that day, and it's hard to do it every day, all day because of life, but I want them to leave my office feeling just a little bit better, not physically, maybe physically, but just
however
happier emotionally, mentally, whatever. Leave the office improved from when they came in. And I don't think people would come back if that wasn't the case. So that's something that, like, I don't fake. I don't just, like, look online and find ways to do that. I think that's just me.
Yep.
And it's just about me being able to, within myself, give more without being so worn down. And
it's called a authenticity.
Yep.
And it's called being true to yourself and like, look, I'm going to be me.
Right.
I'm going to accept me for me.
Right.
And if you like me, fantastic. If you don't, that's okay too.
Right.
And you start attracting Gabe did that too.
Yep.
You start attracting the people that like you.
Right.
Because you're not for everyone.
Right.
I'm not for everyone.
Yep.
But those who you are for, you end up robbing them if you aren't yourself.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I mean that's good advice. That's good. So all right. Last question here. Then we'll chat some other stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we buy you a beer, because it gets raw, man. So what would you tell? First of all, tell me like a pivotal age for you. Was it like, do you want me to go 18 or 22? Ish.
That range was a good time in my life. I would say I'd say 22. I'd say 22.
So I could say so many things.
No. A lot happens in those 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good for you. I'm glad that was your heyday, right? Yeah.
Let's hope I didn't peak at those years.
So, 22 years old. What does Dr. Jeff say right now to that 22-year-old that he doesn't know then or doesn't understand, whatever? What do you say, knowing what you know now, what you've learned, what do you say to that human being right now?
I'd say enjoy the journey because there's going to be a lot of crazy shit and crazy ups and downs that happen in your life. And I'm so, like, want things now, like, type A, like, hey, I want this, and then I gotta figure out how to fix it right away.
I'll be happy when.
Exactly.
Are you that guy?
Yeah.
So I took that course.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
So it's like, just relax a little and enjoy the process, because, like, again, when you're a good person at heart, good things by and large are going to happen for you, and they did. My wife and I had to wait on having kids. Again, we just had our first child 8 weeks ago. I'm 37 years old, going on 38. It's been a journey and a grind to get to this point. And there's times in life where you feel like you're not going to achieve or get what you feel like you need or feel like you deserve.
Yep.
But, for me to look back on things, I need to just appreciate things and enjoy it in the moment a little bit more, instead of just thinking, here's this goal, you got to hit it at all costs.
Yeah.
Those things are going to come.
I get it.
As long as you do things, work hard, and do things the right way.
So your child, boy or girl?
Girl.
What's her name?
Her name's Summerlin Joe.
Summerlin Joe.
SJ.
Summerlin Joe, your parents made so many sacrifices for you.
She's a sassy pants.
You're amazing.
She's beautiful.
And you're only 8 weeks old right now.
Oh, she's starting to smile.
That's awesome. That's cool.
She sees Dad, and she's starting to smile a little bit.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
That's super cool, man. Did that change anything for you?
Big time. Oh, gosh. Everybody tells you, wait till you have a kid.
This is an extremely selfish question, because my wife is 21 weeks pregnant with a girl. So.
man.
Yeah.
No, everybody tells you. You'll hear it over
Oh,
and over
God,
and
I
over.
hear it
But
all the time.
the chills you're gonna get when you're in that delivery room when that
Yeah.
happens, and like, I've never seen love for another person that like I see with my wife and my daughter. It's insane.
That's cool.
Insane. And it's
That's
not
cool.
really my time to shine right now because it's mom
Oh, yeah.
and breastfeeding.
You're
and
purely overhead right
I'm,
now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, congrats! Early
Thank you.
congrats to you.
Thank you.
Best
You too,
wishes
man.
on it all. And I'm quickly learning that like you don't know everybody can tell you how to
Well,
parent,
that's-
but you just got to figure it out.
Well, that's
yourself.
how you started doing what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on Hops and Handshakes. What
Yeah,
you're
man.
doing is awesome.
Thanks,
Keep going,
Isaac.
Dr. Jeff. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
And that sums us up for today's Hops and Handshakes. Follow Dr. Jeff here. Where can we find you? Where's your...
Gorbach Family Gorbach Family Chiropractic.com is
Sure,
our
sure.
website. You can find us with that on Facebook as well. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, check this guy out, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks.